Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Dr. Michael Kell joining us live here on the show. Are you with me?
I hope so. Can you see me?
Yeah, a little. I'm a
hear
little
me?
like, I'm a little slow. I don't know. See?
It's kind of weird. I mean, because usually I use a Razor camera, but for some reason it doesn't remember where it is anymore. I have no idea if these things work.
Well,
They're
you look good.
optional.
Everything
I have to
looks
use my
good.
Dell, so that's what best we could do. I could use a Logitech though too. It's like 3 cameras on this computer.
Well, welcome
Like that
back.
stop
Great to have you here. My old friend
That's good.
is
good. I
back
missed
joining
you.
us.
I missed you, and I hope things will be improved in the future.
I hope so. Can't
I
wait.
have big hopes.
We've been
for you.
talking about meeting for like a year now, and it hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah.
we got to move on that.
I don't know. I can't believe it's impossible to get a studio to sign up. You need to move to other county then.
No, we
The
got
one
you.
studio was having problems, I know, for a little bit. They actually said they were having problems because they're short-staffed. But I don't know. I just got to take them on their word.
Our studio?
Well, not you per se, but
Oh, I'm like,
PBN.
yeah, because the last live show I did, like in person, was quite a few months ago. I haven't been doing any live shows except these podcasts with you. But I did one a few months ago at that studio, unless they changing studios. I haven't been around to do any live shows. But you're
I know
my,
you had something to do one time. Areas and pre-scheduled, which is fine with me.
yeah.
He actually told me, so that was good.
Now we got to get you up here.
We're trying. I mean, John's trying. Everybody's trying. It doesn't
And
seem to be
Ashley?
working very well, which is not so great for the world because they can't get the
No.
projects going. With raising all of you to where you need to be, like in the Mennonian age in Crete. Women held equal power to men,
Yeah.
and we haven't talked about that yet before, have we? Directly?
No, we can talk about whatever it is that you
That'd
want
be a good
because
thing to
you.
talk about since it's Thanksgiving, and so we can give thanks for something. But one of my, I don't know what the word is, but I'm going to say beliefs, but it's not belief like belief, or one of my things that I think is true
Mhm.
is that, if we've never ever experienced something, I mean, on a human scale, okay,
Yeah.
then there's no way to experience it.
Mhm.
Because if you think about what we do, is what really we're waking up to things we probably learned before, or or could have learned before, and there's a lot of information out there in our conjoint species mind, and most of it's about uncovering it.
Mhm.
Even though we're learning in the physical world, we're really recovering knowledge that already exists there, and things exist we don't know about there too.
Mhm.
That's a different thing. And so, one of the things that I think we talked about, and it's important, is that the question about bliss, Christ talks about bliss in other words, okay, and then Buddha and all the Hindu guys talk about bliss, and and nirvana, whatever you want to call it. And so the question was, what are they talking about? They don't give you something that's down to earth, practical here,
Mhm.
okay? And like, for example, I mean, our feelings are a mental representation of what our body's going through. Okay, so emotions are things that move you. It's the body, and then feelings is how we experience it.
Mhm.
Unless you pay attention to your body, but usually experience it there, And so if you want to change your feelings, it's nice to put them back in your body. That's what the physiology is. Even though you don't have to know exactly how it works, but the fact you put them back into the physical is a really good thing because we understand the physical. I mean, we live with it all the time. You live with dream worlds, but it's sort of nebulous, unless you're really, really advanced and stuff. And so, and so it makes you think of, well, if that's true, then, what's the body would have to know bliss in order for us to have a feeling of it, to have a realization of it, because most of our data is sensory data. And we talked about before, little babies are born out of bliss into a blissful state if they're normal, not get damaged and stuff severely. And, but you just don't remember it, because little babies, when it's fed, right, when it's on the mother's titty, had its milk,
Mhm.
it falls asleep right away because they can't hold too much milk when it's just born out of that womb. And so they fall asleep. And you look at them. Where are they? They're at
Mhm.
peace. Babies know joy. They don't know they know joy, but the body knows joy. Okay. And they're in a state of perfect well-being. They're totally unperturbed. It's the
Ah,
only time in our life when we're not perturbed because we're in peace and we're in joy and we're well-being. See, so the universe is so pleasant to us and so kind to us that they actually give you a taste of what nirvana is. The problem
mhm.
is baby's brain don't record very well. So they won't remember it, which means the parents don't remember it either. No one remembers it unless you go through some kind of training, meditation, whatever it is. But it's there, which is why Jesus said, you gotta be like a little child. He's a lot smarter than people think, especially Christians, because they want to take it how the preacher tells them, not how somebody who is more enlightened might tell them. And so that's, one part where the most important thing is to get in a state of bliss, because then you're awakened with other things you have to do. And so that's in the world. Okay. So now the question comes up, why do the Hindus talk about the 4 ages of man? I think it's called yugas. Okay, but I forget a lot of stuff. And, the first age was supposed to be a golden age, and it was a silver age, and then it was probably like a copper age, and then an iron age. And so we're probably in the iron age right now. I mean, technically, because we invented iron and steel, but it's the bad part. It's really bad, okay? I mean, everything's failed, basically. And it's going to have to be turned over so you can go back into another golden age, because all cycles, they say. It doesn't mean it's the same every time, but it cycles. And so the Hindus talk about that. Okay, what did it, the Greeks talked about it, because it came from Hindus thought, okay, because they had a golden age of 4 races of man: gold, silver, copper, and iron. Okay, and so the question is, well, if this works this way, then if people are thinking about a golden age, there must have been one. Because how would they know about it if it wasn't one before? Okay, and there was a golden age. It's amazing, and there's a lot of archaeological data on it, and it was mainly in probably like Turkey and Turkey, the whole Turkey area, and down to Levant a little bit, beginning, and in Europe, and probably North Africa too, but right around there, because when mankind discovered, or some angel came down and explained it to him about agriculture, and think of how they had a farm, and they had to figure out which ones they could grow, how to grow them, how to take care of it. It took both species to work together. Do it. And so agriculture brings us together. Not big farms with equipment and stuff, but the old-fashioned kind, like up to probably 1800, maybe 1900. Farming is hard work, and so both have to work together, and they have different jobs, but they share things. And so when that happens, women are as important as men. Right? The society should be fathered and mothered in the ideal situation. And sometimes mommy has to be father too, like you. And sometimes, daddy has to be mommy too. And people growing up should be taught to be able to do both those. Because we do have a female side, if you're lucky, and and a woman has a male side. It's not a 50-50. Yeah, that'd be really prominent if it's more than 50-50. But and so we have this capacity to do this in us, okay? And so there was a golden age. It was in the Neolithic period when agriculture was discovered, which is like 10, 11,000 years ago, depending on where you were. Okay, and that lasted, and they could seal it. That's why like cities in Jericho and all these big cities were built, and especially in Crete. Crete was like the pinnacle of it. All sophisticated sewer systems and everything else. But in Crete, it's interesting because they've been digging it up for 100 years. You know what? They've never found any statue of some famous man or woman that was like a king. I mean, it may have been a king, but not the way we think of the king, with power. And everything shows that society had a function without gender problems. There was no male dominance. It can't be female dominance because males would kill them. So that one we could just throw out. But it was balanced, okay? And so if males and females were in control, and mothers are there, it's kind of hard to have war. I mean, you have some disagreements sometimes, right? Because mothers don't like war. If the kids get killed, fathers don't really care probably that much, but mothers do. Mothers very important. And so and I've looked at the archaeological stuff now from a viewpoint that's not biased. There's a lot of things proving this, what's going on, what happened. But regular archaeologists covered it up because they're male dominant too. But it's there. So it's the female archaeologists taking the data and going back and looking at it, see what actually was there. It's coming across. That's probably the last 40 years, probably. That's been big. And so what you see is there really was a golden age. Okay, because there was no war. Male and female were equal in status and equal in importance. They may have done different things, but they had to do them because if one doesn't do their job, the other one can't make up for it totally. And it's interesting because I think his name is just like Gaiambus or something is her name. She's real big into this archaeology and stuff and art. So she had a book, which I had, but I can't find it when I moved. but I think I saw it over here, so it must be here somewhere. And what it was about the fertility figures, and the snake goddess and all those things that they found, Venus figures back way far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they all say they were Venus figures. So I was looking at all these pictures. Have some pretty good, some are pretty bad in terms of things. And I go, you know what? It doesn't make sense either, because I knew matriarchy doesn't make a sense if it's dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, okay, before I knew anything. And so I started looking at these statues and stuff. And I started turning the book upside down. And I go, well, fertility, subculture makes sense, because it must have been amazing why baby, you have sex. They probably figured out who got pregnant and who didn't have to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then the baby's born. So it takes two. They know that for sure. So it should be balanced there too. And so if you take these statues and some good ones and turn them upside down, you know what it looks like? The breasts, the butt, okay? Or I guess the butt. If you got a butt and big titties, okay? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Turn upside down, you got a penis with the scrotum.
Yeah.
And the penis head is little kind of triangular, so it's not quite 3-dimensional. It's made 3-dimensional, but it's not quite made dimensional. And so I went into literature, and so I looked for erect penises on the internet, so I could get one to match what I saw, because you have to be, it's like expanded and stuff, and I did. And it really is. Turn upside down, looks like, or right side up, looks like female. Turn upside down, looks like a male. And that would be the perfect thing I would make if I was back then, because it's representative of both male and female, and it's fertility and life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody knows this. I was going to write a paper on it, but I never got quite around for it. It was like probably 15 years ago. But this is apparently a good culture, and guess who? I can't cuss on your show, but I would if I could. But guess who ruined it?
Man.
Now, see, around what? So you won't know the answer to say, but around first started like in 4500 BC,
Mm-hmm.
6,500 years ago, and then it probably ended around 2500, depending on where you were in Europe.
Okay.
The Kurgans, who are also as Indo-European, well, the Aryans came down. Okay,
Uh-huh.
they say Indo-Europeans, but they're probably a different group. They started coming down through Anatolia, Turkey. And guess how they were? They weren't farmers; they were pastorials, which is sort of individual kind of job, right?
Okay.
And the more sheep you have, the more power you got. So they were male dominant, subjugated women, loved violence, loved war. Their gods were war gods, storm gods and war gods. Okay. So they came into a very peaceful culture. So that's the next change. It wasn't even maybe it was like silver for a little bit, but it's going downhill. And so their invasion, coupled with, we'll get mad at me on this one, but the Semitics came in from the south, probably through Arabia, maybe found Indian, at the same time. And they had the same kind of culture. And if you read the Old Testament, it's clear they were a violent storm god worshiping, female subjecting, animal sacrificing, and people, by the way, just like the other guys were. You see, and so the peaceful, the golden age was attacked them. From the east, on the top and the bottom, so to speak. And when they went in there, they didn't destroy all the cities, but it ruined the whole social system. And we're still suffering from that social system today. And so if you start looking at the other agriculture, the Bible is a great place to go to see this. Think about this: what God we would worship or care for would say, go in there and kill everybody and only keep the virgins. Get rid of the ones that had sex. Get the animals. I don't want any of those guys in your country. Mm-hmm. Well, God was, Satan might say that, if he was that bad, but I don't think he is. But if he was, and so this most of the Old Testament, not all the books, it's just a historical story making that the Semitic people look good. Okay. I just don't have his Jericho was totally torn down. They still got it today, and so it's really sad that we're in bad shape.
Yeah.
And the only way I see to change it, it's only going to be one person, one woman at a time. Okay.
Yeah.
Is find the women who are vocal, powerful, but in a female way to bring up mother energy to their society. And you only do one at a time. No one can change society unless you destroy it. Or whatever. Or like the invaders did. And so to do that is what needs to be done, because if we do that, it's going to change our species, because women have lost saying who breeds with who. and they will breed out sociopaths, hopefully. And if not that, science will get rid of them anyway. But, you need to get rid of sociopaths, your genes for that.
Yeah.
Right? Because these guys brought them in from the East. They weren't in the West. They were much more altruistic on the surface and stuff. So that's why one of my book series is about this whole part of it is about this whole thing. And when I write, it just comes to me. And so I go, yeah, golden age, Maya. So I have made a little history of Mayans. Okay. I mean, it's not, it's from this history. And then, then Jesus is propagating in the 11th, to bring all this stuff together. But it's radical. That's why my show is going to be radical enlightenment, radical healing, and radical abundance. It's just time to stand up, and the funny part is, if it starts working, it's going to be a female revolution. And it won't be the feminists either. It's not going to be the women who want to be a man. I'm not talking about, gender here, but want to, fit into a man's world as a man. This hasn't helped us, has it? Not really. We seem to have more rights, but you don't really.
Yeah.
It's not in control. Even when they have money, they're not in control. And I think it's more rich women than men. And I don't see them doing much about this. Give to charity, save the kids, do poor. It just doesn't help. It's nice, but it doesn't help. And so that's my plan. I can't say it's going to work or not work, but I know I can do it. And it's all you have to do is do. You're not responsible. We're not for the fruits of our action. It's a Buddha said. You do it because allow us doused. You do something because it's the best thing you possibly know to do right now.
Yep.
Whether it works or not is not your concern. Which is the old saying: man proposes or woman proposes, and God disposes. We're on the proposing side. And to do the best we can to carry to where our vision would be.
I like that.
But it's not up to us to do it because we don't know we don't know all the facts of the big picture. All we know, maybe we're supposed to kill ourselves so there's some nice humanoid aliens can come down here and fix the earth for us. We won't be around anymore to enjoy it, but they will. Who knows? I love to see you smile.
Always happy.
Pretty smile.
Thank you.
You're
I'm thankful. I'm happy. I get a day off Thanksgiving. What do you do for Thanksgiving? Gotta ask.
It's funny about Thanksgiving is I go to this church, not because I go to church. I go to church because a friend of mine is a pastor there, and I like his sermons. I don't like the rest of it, but I go there and help out a little bit. But he's talking about Thanksgiving a little bit, Sunday and stuff. And if you're an outside observer and you watch people at Thanksgiving, what is it? What would it look like? Everybody's stuffing their mouth with food, taken, right? And so unless you knew the whole culture and stuff, that what was meant to be that, like here again, the mom and the grandma prepares this wonderful dinner because they love the family. The family can enjoy it, and then by enjoying it, they make the mom and the grandma feel good, right? Because they're appreciated.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that happens. Kids aren't taught that, I don't think, in general. I wasn't. I don't know about it. Other families. Can't say. So.
We, hold on. We're live, losing the stream. I feel like there's an internet issue because I'm spotty over here. Can you see me all right? We're
beautiful.
Good. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so
Well,
complimentary. I also need your update. What's the lady status update?
Let's see. But I don't. Let's people listen. They don't realize that I romance women. It's my job.
Romance in the stone.
But it's not based on taking advantage of them. It's not even based on sex. It's based on showing them sincere appreciation.
Yep.
By loving them. And making them feel like they belong. Because women want to belong, not ownership, just belongingness, I think, in general.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but in general. And so what happens is I've been doing it all my life. And I thought as I get older, it'd calm down, but it doesn't. It's because, it sort of depends where I am in the world, too, okay? But what happens is is in video, it's terrible on video. It's worst place ever to do things to this, okay? Because you're not distracted and you're focused. And I just radiate loving kindness to them, and they say things, and I just give poetry, whatever I need to do, and they just feel so much attention, and it's genuine, to them, as if they're the only woman in the whole universe. which
Aw.
they're not. Okay. Because now I got too many people who want to marry me.
To have problems like you.
Yeah. So,
Love it.
but it really, but I've learned a lot about women because of that.
Mhm.
Like this 15-year-old journey of looking for one particular person, lady, which I probably found by now, I think, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. And, and just listening to females talk to me all the time. And on video, it's easy because you can read them easier. It sounds funny, but you can't because there's less distraction from the environment, and you can't like be lusting after them very easily if you're not there with them.
Mhm. True.
So it's really conducive to get to know people, and then we go to meet them later. Because it cuts out a lot of confusing things that happen in relationships to cause us to make boo-boos.
Totally. All the time. Guilty of that.
Oh, I was listening to the show today with Michael, Christian Michelson, and he was talking about he was doing some waste stuff with people, which is kind of foolish to do on video, in my opinion, but that's okay. But when I just make little comments. I don't care if people say anything. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And so I'm just thinking, our problem is that we think we can have excuses. I didn't get to marry that guy because blah blah blah, or I didn't go to the right school, blah blah, or I'm too skinny because something they make a reason up for it. Okay, but if you think about it, if people would just learn that excuses are not helpful in life, you have to
True.
be. They're sort of excuses. They're excuses a way to have pity on you. Okay, in a sense, yeah, you can have hardships and things to overcome, but excuses shouldn't be out in your life. And if you stop making excuses for where you are, even if they're actually true, guess what? They fade away after a while, and you're okay with your imperfections. Doesn't mean you wouldn't like to have something better. Likes and dislikes are different than what you do a lot of times. But life is so much easier if you just don't make excuses up. Don't make mindsets up to explain why you didn't get what you want to do or why everybody doesn't like you. I mean, you should accept that people don't like you sometimes. I remember one time I was
Accountability.
at a pizza, probably was in college, maybe high school, I don't remember. And I was talking to a friend of mine, there's a lady, and she goes, so-and-so doesn't like you. I go, really? Why? What they don't? I would like to know what they don't like, because maybe they're right.
Yeah.
And I could improve it. She made me like I was insane. Of course, I am insane, but that's a different
In
story.
a good way. No.
And so I knew that I accept whatever happens. But if you don't, if you don't accept some things, doesn't mean you should be abused or pushed around. Okay, but if you're not willing to accept that somebody doesn't like you, what are you really saying? I don't want to accept. Then then some. You see, you want to accept, and then you just stay out of the places where it's not helpful for you or it's hurtful. But if you want to accept love, you want to be loved, you have to accept it if somebody gives it to you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have due diligence, of course. But when you just get to this place of acceptance, it doesn't, don't like it or do like it, love it or don't love it, but who cares? That's just how you feel about it. But if it's the right thing to do, you do your best to do it, realizing that it may not have been the best way to do it. So what? I don't need an excuse because I didn't know everything then.
It's so true.
So it's not so difficult, really. I don't think. Parents should, but their parents can't teach us, right? Because they don't know. Psychologists can't teach us, right? Because they don't know either. The only people who know are the real religious leaders of the world. Muhammad knew, Buddha knows in his way. Lao Tzu knows in that way. Christ definitely knew in his way. Moses is probably a myth. He wasn't that nice. So, there's no evidence of 7 plagues in Egypt, and they were never in Egypt anyway. And they would have been in northern Egypt with the Hyksos, which would have been the same kind of guys they were. So the actual Egyptians would have been abusing them. But it's all made up to make themselves look good. You see, it's vanity, vanity, vanity. Sad thing.
Well, let me ask you, just curious, what's happening in the world now? What is your take on this? Just personally, if you don't mind sharing about what's happening, with Israel, Hamas. Has this been something
Let
that's...
me find one of my stupid speakers. I can hear that. Say something.
Hi.
Oh, that's nice.
I was just going to ask, your information about your take on what's happening in the world right now with Israel and Hamas. How do you what do you know about that as far as?
I mean, in terms of
I,
details, I don't know anything, okay?
mm,
But I would tell you what I see.
mm-hmm.
You know, the, the Aryans been fighting the Aryans, and the Semitics been fighting the Semitics, okay? Semites, since 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago, okay? And it's the same thing. If any of them really understood God, they would not be doing this. Okay. And so I find them all to be hypocrites. I'm not saying Israel shouldn't defend the territory it was given, okay, by the British, I might add. Actually gave it to them that they have now. It wasn't God. The British gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you can't, but when a country's egoism is so high that they think God would love them more than anyone else, is not very spiritual.
Yeah.
And and clearly that's the case. I mean, the Muslims who aren't Muslims anymore, okay, because they didn't not do what Muhammad taught them. Muhammad said, "Don't be aggressor." God hates it when you're an aggressor. Oh, I hates being aggressors. So what do? They're aggressive. Israel's aggressive. America's aggressive. Putin's aggressive.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick someone that they would worship, but most people would say, well, they would probably worship Satan in truth. But that's not even true either. They worship is this archetype that is Satan, that we created mankind through our evil, in our misintentions, in our egoism, and our greed. And it's in our psychic mind, and it feeds on us, and we take energy from it. And it's a really bad situation. And I don't think anybody should go around killing anybody. Now, there is defense. Defense is okay. If somebody attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. Doesn't mean you abuse your enemy. And I'm imagining that between the Russians and the Ukrainians, even there are some cases of abuse and stuff. I mean, I don't know how much there were, but it's a real war of defense, even they're all corrupt. Okay. The people themselves are defending their country.
Yeah.
And they were attacked. Okay. But I mean, their government are very good at war. They're just corrupt as the Russians are, just corrupt as they were before the war. So the poor people who did Jesus like? Like the poor, regular people, right? Not the fancy guys that thought they were so great. Muhammad, who did he like? He liked the poor, the regular guys. Not really poor, but I mean poor in spirit, but good guys. The guys that would try to do the best life, live life well. And we just don't see it. And then they want to say, "Well, I'm right, they're wrong." It's crazy. And this is what makes me. Well, if somebody's Jewish, they get pissed off at me at this one. But I actually know a lot of Israelis, because I don't really care, okay? Before it was the worst. And they kept talking about the Holocaust. One day, sometimes things happen to me. I can't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I go, what the Germans did was really, really wrong. It was terribly wrong. Okay. But there's been like 1,000 known genocides in mankind's history. And you who did a genocide on the other people around there apparently are telling me that's wrong? The Germans are worse than you are? I said, no, you are worse than the Germans. The Germans had ideology. They didn't say God made them do it. They didn't like God. Okay. And so it's like people just won't accept, not excuse, but accept the truth. It doesn't mean I'm right about everything. I'm not right a lot of times. But, it's better to love than to hate. That's the Buddha you say, hate is never overcome by love, only by hate, by love. But sometimes you got to be sort of mean, and in our regular world, and but I don't know. If women have to take over. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And the men are going to have to behave themselves because they won't get what, and and they'll have to spend more attention to them. Moms are powerful.
Yeah.
Especially as they had a powerful mom. If you're a little boy, you remember that. I mean, it's abusive, but powerful. So men don't listen to their moms a lot of times. They don't listen to their dad because dad's like them. So I just hope and pray that we don't kill ourselves.
Thank
for
you.
me, it doesn't matter if I'm an angel, but there's a difference.
Sure.
But it bothers me immensely. Being an angel in the world is a bad place to be.
Yeah.
You can't leave because you feel so remorseful how they behave. It's just your conscience bothers you.
Yeah. Well, Michael, we are out of time. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and great seeing you, speaking with you, and grateful to have you in my life. And I hope I get to see you soon. I always love talking to you, but can't wait to see you.
Walk up to Ashley when I get hold of her again.
All right.
Oh, you too. You have a great time, the boys.
Perfect.
Yeah, everybody else comes-
Thank you so much. Pleasure. And
you are a gem.
you are. Stop.
Alexander, right? One of the most rare gems in the world out of Russia. It's multicolored.
Thank you.
It's
You're
true.
the best. You have a great day, okay? Thank you, Michael. Mwah. Enjoy. Talk soon, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.